Welcome to the Daytona Beach Real Estate Insider, powered by the Daytona Beach Area Association of Realtors. Whether you're a real estate agent or just interested in our local real estate market, we hope this podcast provides value to you. We explore how our local association supports its members and share key tips for navigating Volusia and Flagler County real estate. Stick with us for the next few minutes. You won't want to miss it.
Hey everybody, it's Kristin Peterson, and I am your president of the Daytona Beach Area Association of Realtors this year. And I have part two, Erum Kistemaker. Yay!
Yeah.
I'm very excited. If you haven't listened to part one, I'm going to give you a short review of what we discussed, but it's all about condos. Erum is our local condo expert. She has her own firm here, established in 2007 on condo and HOA law, business law, construction law.
Yeah. All sort of in the real estate realm.
In the real estate realm, yeah. So tons of information. I was really happy to hear we had members that told me that they had shared our original podcast, I'll call it part one, on condo associations and all the stuff going on with the condos right now with their customers, which is great to hear because this is also for the general public, not just for real estate agents. So we want to make sure that everybody's clear on that. So we're here to address some questions. So let me review, Erum, real quick what we discussed before, and then I'm going to let you have the floor for what is new since we met. So last time we met was in April, and right now, what month are we on? September?
September, but I believe, was it not April? Was it April of this year?
This year. April of this year. Yeah, I know. It's going by fast.
Because we never really talked about House Bill 913. We only talked about House Bill 1021. Which was implemented in 2024, July 1st, 2024.
Okay, so we'll catch up. So let me quickly go over what we did discuss because I listened to the podcast. We discussed the Sears report, the milestone reports. Condos, the 3 stories or more must have those. The milestone reports being enforced by local officials, and the Sears report, which is reserve funding, or state enforced. And the condo associations must have reserve funds for structural integrity.
Correct.
So we went through that and how that is determined, which is the inspections and then bidding and then ultimate future cost anticipation. And that's where your reserve funding comes from. We also discussed what happens if condo associations are not complying. That was something that we were hearing in the field, and you mentioned Kaufman language. So you guys can go back and listen to part one and get more detail on that. That was part of the discussion. We also discussed potential legislation for financial release for condos owners that are on a fixed income, which I would like to kind of dig into that a little bit.
And just before we even dig into it, I'll allow you to continue, but that never came to fruition.
Oh, okay. All right. That's too bad.
Yeah.
And then starting, of course, January 1st, 2026, there are new condo rules taking effect, which expand transparency requirements, increase reserve funding mandates, and imposing more accountability for the condo associations, the people who are on the board. So we'd like to learn more about that. So I'm going to open it up for you, and then I'll ask questions as we go based on what we're hearing in the field.
So sort of to recap, why does this all matter? And it matters because the last 3 years, there have just been significant legal changes within the condo, HOA, community association, condo tells, timeshare world. They're significant, they are sweeping, they are detailed and nuanced. So within your industry, why is that very important? Well, you guys are closing these deals.
Yeah.
And these details matter to keep your sellers, your buyers, your own companies out of litigation.
Right.
And why is that? Is because it really has changed the landscape financially. And as I had stated at our last podcast, it really also is changing the scope of the type of person that's going to buy in a condo. That I think is very important for realtors. So the House bill that we spoke about last time was House Bill 1021, and what just recently changed and went into effect July 1st of 2025 is House Bill 913. Really what that did is just kind of clarify some things on the SERS and how you determine if it's 3 stories or not. And now 3 stories is defined. It's habitable. Because remember, last podcast you asked, well, how do you determine if it's 3 stories? What about that garage? And I said, Lawyers shouldn't be answering that question right now because it's vague in the statute. So 913 clarified that. So there is no question, and engineers don't really have to make that determination. It's habitable stories.
Important point.
Website requirement. Now it's not 150 units and more condos. It's starting January 1st, 2026, 25 and more, which pretty much is going to hit every condo. So you got to get your website together, and that website has to have all your documents, which goes into the transparency, the record keeping, what most managers and boards don't do well, which also ties into where realtors are going to go get their information. SIRS information, budget information, meeting minutes. Why is that important? Because special assessments have become highly litigated, which I had anticipated the last time we spoke. And since that time, I can't tell you how many seller non-disclosure cases I've done, how many realtors and agencies have been impacted by that because we rely on what? Estoppels. It's not...
Explain, just in case the public is listening, what is an estoppel?
An estoppel is a document that you should have prior to closing, which will disclose what your monthly, quarterly, or yearly assessments are, your general assessments. General assessments are something that you're going to pay to keep the operating expenses of the association going. There are also lots of special assessments. They're being levied for things that are outside of the budget that have come up. Those have to be disclosed, and it's not that they've been levied. It is if there's been a discussion with regards to them at a board meeting within the last 12 months. And I feel like a lot of sellers just are like, I didn't go to a board meeting. I don't know. I don't have to disclose it. And that is not true. You don't get, you know how you would hear a lot in the landlord-tenant world, you don't get to be a non-interested or sort of landlord that's not interested. You don't get to just say, hey, I never went to a board meeting, so therefore I don't know.
We hear a lot, I never lived in that property, so I don't know anything about the condition.
Well, shame on you.
Yeah.
You still have disclosure requirements, and you better go get those minutes. And I would be asking even for draft minutes. Also now, what's interesting, and what 913, the new House bill did, if you are doing Zoom meetings, which happened sort of after COVID, and we kind of changed the statute to allow that. There's been clarification now in this round of legislative changes that you can have video conferencing board meetings. However, you have to video record them, and you have to put it on your website. That now becomes part of the books and records. I have a lot of heartburn with that.
Yes.
Because, wow, what could be disclosed and not disclosed. And, meetings aren't necessarily run the way council would want them run. There's a lot of chitter-chatter. So as sort of an expert in the field, I believe there is a way out of potentially not video recording the meetings and not necessarily having them on Zoom. If you still have them by telephone, you don't have to upload those on the website. And I can tell you already, people that are trying to comply with the law and upload the Zoom meetings, they can't even upload them. They're too big to the website.
File. Yeah.
But if you are going to do those Zoom meetings and you want to be in compliance with your website, you better figure out that you have the capability to do that on your website.
Might be a good idea.
Because I have a feeling, what are boards trying to do right now? Save money. Insurance premiums, SIRS studies, renovation, all of that has already increased. The general assessments, special assessments made it very expensive. So now I think they're going to start skimping on legal fees. They're probably going to start skimping, like try to do a ChatGPT website.
Right.
That may not work, guys.
Yes.
I think you need to hire a professional for your website and these things. So really be mindful in your budget. Because what's happening is I'm seeing a lot of local associations aren't budgeting properly. And I'm not sure that unless you have a professional that knows how to manage the budgets and really come up with the That's why they're getting special assessments. So something for realtors to really look at, or at least advise their clients to look at, are the last 5 years of the budgets, and keeping in mind these new requirements, because if there's not line items for those in the budget, red flag. Right?
Isn't that part of the transparency portion of it coming in into 2026, that the people that are on the boards now or elected to the boards have to have a certain background or certain classes or
so
whatever?
I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
And it's actually, I know we keep saying going into 2026. These laws have already gone into effect with the education requirements. So the education requirement laws were in effect since 2024, continue to be in 2025. And most of these changes that we're discussing right now were effective July 1st, 2025, which is why the poor DBPR was scrambling. A lot of us attorneys were scrambling to make sure that the associations were in compliance, because we weren't sure that House Bill 913 was even going to get signed. It got signed towards the end of June, and a lot of the laws were effective July 1st.
I remember.
Causing scrambling.
Yeah. We didn't even have the riders out or anything.
Exactly, because there was changes to that too. Now, the riders are critical for you guys, and I can't tell you how many calls I get. And I will say some agencies and title companies have recently been upset with myself in representing condos, because they keep asking for a financial well-being affidavit, and I have advised all of my boards not to sign that, because there is no requirement to sign that. And under the current conditions, unless somebody's analyzing that budget very carefully, along with the SIRS, I don't think board members should be signing an attestation or an affidavit talking about the well-being of their finances when it's not required by the law. It just be as transparent as you can be about any discussed special assessments, any restoration projects, if you're being sued, not being sued, and then the person selling it and or the buyer should determine the financial, rewards and risks of buying. The board should not be signing those affidavits.
And I don't think, the person selling it, we're talking about real estate agents that probably don't know how to read financials for the most part. They get complicated. I've seen them.
They're complicated for me.
Right.
I'm not
a
wealth manager. I'm a
potential
lawyer.
buyer from Pennsylvania somewhere coming down and looking at documents like that is overwhelming. So that's where you come into play. I mean, seriously, we should have an attorney involved in that for that review, correct?
But then I would want to also sit down with the accountant. And because a budget's just a snapshot, where is the backup for that? Where are they, as far as like the insurance and the insurance premium? Have they any numbers for potential escalation and things like that? Most of the budgets I see don't even have a legal budget. So, I mean, there's so much stuff to look at. And also, a lawyer can't get it 5 days before closing.
Right.
Most lawyers that do this kind of law, especially real estate, condo, HOA, we're busy.
Right.
We're small firms locally for various reasons, and even if I had a bigger firm, my associates aren't going to have my understanding. I have to oversee everything.
Right.
So I often do get the last minute requests, and that's very hard to review a budget and really write an opinion that people are going to rely on 5 days before closing.
Is it going to make it easier when everything is on the website, so to speak?
I believe so.
Because half the battle was getting the documents or getting somebody to return a call that you need a document or something.
Now it's going to be interpreting it, but really, isn't it truly a buyer's decision at the end of the day?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think everyone just needs to know, if affordability is what you're looking for, and hoping that, if your assessments are $1,000 a month, they're not going to be $1,000 a month 3 years from now. As I had stated the last time, condominiums, especially on the ocean, especially in Volusia Flagler, moving forward, is not for somebody on a fixed income, retirement income.
So the deadline to start fully funding reserves, which is 2026, correct?
Yes.
So if I wanted to buy a condo, and I know that this deadline for not fully funding the reserves, but starting the process of fully funding the reserves. So if I go in February, is it correct thinking that, well, at this point, seeing all the documents, I should know if there's going to be a big assessment on this condo at this point?
You should, because there should be an estimation for the 2026 budget.
Right.
That all goes by see, and it's not knowing what to look at. Looking at the 2025, what are your projections for 2026? And if in the 2025 budget, you already don't see line items for mandatory funding for the structural components, you got an issue. So you know it's going up because it doesn't show anywhere. And it is 2026.
Okay,
so, I mean, 2026 is around the corner.
Yeah.
Budget times right now. So February 2026, 100% you're going to have a 2026
you should be able
budget.
to be very comfortable.
And if you don't, it's review the declaration. Declaration and bylaws will say what they're.
Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody got that. That's good intel. And then also, are we keeping a list?
Estoppel's very important. What if you have a cash deal? I would still be doing what the mortgage companies require, even if an owner's buying it cash. Note, as a realtor, we've talked to the buyer about some consequences of not getting a mortgage, and here are some checklist items.
Right. Somebody said the other day, if you are going to buy a condo, get a mortgage. Even if you can pay cash, just go ahead and finance it for a year. Usually mortgage companies want you to hold that note for at least 6 months. So, but the mortgage company is definitely doing their homework. More of the extent of the homework than a cash buyer may do.
And even better, find out what they're specifically requiring. We kind of know what they're requiring and say, owner, this is what you need to do. And as long as you've told the owner that, ultimately it is whoever's buying decision. I still think a lot of people think these condos are a great deal here because they don't understand.
Well, condo prices have compressed in certain areas. I mean, there's some, okay, but we have, 14, 15, 17 months of inventory on condos in some areas. Some buildings you can just drive up and look at and say, there's an issue here. So you've got some owners that are, they've owned the condo free and clear for years and years and years. They're done with it, and they literally are giving it away. Where can you buy an oceanfront condo for, low 200s, a nice condo? I guess my thing is there a list out there? Are you making a list of here's all the great, here's the condos that are in good shape kind of list? Is there such a thing? Can we get a,
because I still don't know what they're finding.
I'm just wondering if
I know the condos that I represent that are dotting their I's and crossing their T's, and the ones that are not.
So but another reason just to, I think,
these are all issues on top of the fact that you've got covenant enforcement issues. You've got issues. You could be buying in a great place, but all of a sudden people stop paying their assessments because they can't afford it. So how can I tell you your neighbor can afford it? I haven't done that kind of a deep dive. And really, the financial support of a condominium is based on people paying. If all of a sudden it becomes unaffordable and we don't know everything about every owner there and they don't pay, you got to go to collections. You got to pay for a collections. And then also, if two neighbors aren't paying their assessment, doesn't that change the overall health of the condo? So maybe you do need like the collection list from the association. Now remember, association does not have a duty to give you as a realtor that, or provide that to the buyer, but
to the owner, if the owner requests,
and the current owner can get all that information and records, the website requirements, it's all there.
Now that's extra.
But I would not wait 5 days before.
Well,
that's what I see happens a lot. These quick closings on the condos, and that's not enough time to do the required due diligence.
Right.
It's, it's a request, 14 days for the condo to supply it. Sometimes they don't supply it. If they're not supplying it, isn't that the red flag on the field saying maybe don't buy? Let's move on to the next one. I think
hopefully those days are going to be minimalized by the new requirements and everything going forward. And something that we train constantly is when you're on a condo, you should be obtaining all of these things up front so that when it comes along, there is a buyer, you at least have the most up-to-date information and everything that's required available, and you don't have to wait for whenever to get a hold of whomever to try to get a document. Hopefully the website thing fixes that a little bit, but I have questions. But
I don't know if they're going to have a summarized collection list on there, though.
No, well, that's the first I've actually heard of a collection list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be, that's not part
but
of
it's
the
an
required,
important thing as far as the financial sort of integrity of a building, not
Sure.
things that, you know, most people would think of besides for me, because I do everything start to finish
Right.
in the condo world.
So where do you see it? Where do you see it flipping over where you would say this is a great time to buy a condo?
I don't know.
Long pause.
I think if you can afford it, it's a great condo. I'm not in everybody's pocketbook.
I don't know.
I don't own a house on the beach, but I think it's a wonderful place to live. I can't currently afford a home. Well, I don't want to afford a home on the beach currently because
you anticipate everything.
It's very expensive to live on the
Right.
beach for
Right.
the type of home I would want.
Correct.
I think
I get it.
I think it's a wonderful buy. There's lots of pros to living in a beautiful condo on the beach, but it comes at a cost.
Right.
So if you can afford it, have heartburn about these increases and issues with insurance.
I think that's the key. I think that's the
That is the
message
key.
to put out there, because I mean we have a huge condo market here, right? We don't
Huge,
want
and they're
we don't wanna say,
beautiful.
don't buy a condo. It's more, buy a condo the right way. Would be informed, have an attorney, a third party that knows, probably not your real estate agent, somebody who actually can look at financials and knows what you're getting into and can advise you in the proper way, and make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. If you're on the real estate side, if you're the real estate
know
agent,
what you're buying and
know what you're selling.
Is this your homestead property? Is this an investment property? Is this your snowbird home? And once you make that determination, you look at different things. If you're buying it for investment, you better look at approval rights. If you can lease, what the requirements
First right
on
of refusal.
Yeah, of those things. There's
Yeah.
lots of different things to look at, know about. It's a highly regulated field. Know the product you're buying. Just like purses, right? Some people like a Chanel bag. They keep going up. It's a different consumer than the person's that's going to. Does that
Right.
kind of make sense?
Yep.
And why you're buying that product. What is your purpose? And it's not something that I think anybody should decide in 30 days unless you love it, right? Some people are going to buy that $30,000 Hermes bag because they
And they know it's
And
going to
they-
last forever.
yeah,
And they're going to
so,
have,
you know, different decisions for different people. But I wouldn't be just somebody buying at a foreclosure without looking into it because you think it's going to be a great deal. And then you get mad at the realtor, you get mad at the association, at everybody because you have buyer's remorse. And that is what I'm seeing a ton of. And right now, I don't know if people's extra money is going to this. It's become very litigious. Everyone wants to sue everyone. It's expensive to sue. And we don't have, it's, you may not have results for a year or two. We have backlog. I do think into 26, 27.
what's the what's the main thing that you're seeing people sue over? Non-disclosure?
Yeah, a lot of that. Going after the associations for assessments and, oh, we're not paying that over estoppel.
So these are current owners that are there going, what the heck happened here? Yeah. And that was one of my questions is what do those owners do when they're, you know, they've gotten their quotes on their service report, they've done the whole thing, and now here's the outlay. You got to pay
lot
it in
of
3
new
months.
owners buying and then the boards. I've got one association where a couple of owners just don't get it and keep stopping the board from levying a special assessment to pay for the premium for insurance. They have to have insurance.
Yeah.
That was also what was clarified in 2026. You have to have insurance that premium. You don't pay that premium, you're not going to have insurance. And if it's not budgeted properly, you have no choice.
And that's another thing about the mortgage companies. They have rules of what that insurance premium needs to look like. So your condo association can't have a deductible to get that lower premium to make everybody happy. The mortgage company is going to call that, and they won't lend in there. So that's another reason why, if you're looking for another layer of clarity and just to make yourself feel good, getting a loan on the condo would be helpful versus going in and paying cash, pay the loan off down the road.
Yeah. The problem is just the interest rates, I guess. Everybody, yeah. I don't think so.
I don't worry about interest rates.
Right.
Quite frankly, I got into real estate in the 90s.
It was a lot higher.
Yeah, and they go up, they go down. You know what I mean?
They do.
You can, if you like a property, get the property, because time in real estate history in a 10-year period of time where real estate went down in value. So 10 years from now, you're going to look back and go, we should have bought 10 years ago.
I think it's a fantastic time to get educated. It's
the right thing to do with the condos, considering what happened in Miami. This needed to happen.
But I will tell you, the DBPR is giving a lot of focus to condos right now. It is like the hot thing going on. So if you're educated on it, you are selling the right product. There are going to be buyers there. We just need to all be educated on it. That's really what's hurting the industry right now, is people just not knowing what's going on. So the other thing, as I stated, is owners filing complaints against the association, filing lawsuits against the association, breaches of fiduciary duty when they're truly trying to do the right thing. And then rather than focusing on things like the web and positive things, now they're focusing on all these complaints. I have one association, there's been 12 frivolous complaints filed against them.
Oh, and that kills the lending capability in that building. So now you can't get a loan in there. So the owners don't know they're doing this to themselves.
They're hurting themselves.
They are hurting themselves by doing that.
The education requirements, June 30th, 2025, the deadline for pre-2024 directors, so they were elected prior to 2024, they had to complete their new 4-hour board certification by July 1st, 2025. So front is you must have your 4-hour board certification within 90 days of being elected to the board. Before, you could do that, or alternatively sign an affidavit saying that you read all the documents and that was enough.
Yeah, right.
Now you have to get the certificate. The certificate has and records, and if you have not done that, you're immediately your position on the board has been vacated. Many attorneys are providing those courses similar to myself, as well as the DBPR. I really like the DBPR courses because they're neutral, and it's the about it, and it is DBPR that's going to enforce if
it's going to be completely updated too to whatever new change might have happened.
Also, what was added is there's a continuing education requirement of 1 hour throughout the year with something reserves, budgeting, governance, another continuing and we all provide those courses too, as well as the DBPR.
I'm kind of got a smile on my face because this just kills the volunteer, drive. You know what I mean? Like, position now, right?
It is a serious position. And it should have been always.
Sure.
Think
but
about
you had somebody from hypothetically New Jersey serving on a board in Florida who, just ran for office and was voted in, and that was it.
Well, what we see a lot is,
and that's why you couldn't reach anybody to get anything.
Ask the attorney in New Jersey that doesn't live here to serve on the board. Why is the legal liaison? And the rules in Florida are very different when it comes to real estate law. Furthermore, nobody that's not licensed in the state of Florida should be giving legal. You have to have a license to provide this kind of advice.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole that we hear. I've got my brother Joe. He's an attorney down over there, and he told me, and there you go. And
you see that in the minutes all the time.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
So December 31st, 2025, first CERS is due.
Okay.
Definitely 2026 budget, because most should have their 2026 budget. January 1st, 2026, full reserve funding required. Website requirement also extends to 25 plus unit condos. So what are you going to be looking at, realtors? If a condo is more units, do they have a website? When are they going to have a website? Because all the documents have to be on the website.
That's going to be really interesting.
It is.
And what do you do when they're not? You know, no website, no documents.
Red flag.
Yeah. Okay. Just move on.
Right? Like it's not
seller, really, and you're not as the agent, you're not the reporter. It's the owner. The owner needs to get on it. All the owners of that situation, because that's impeding them from being able to sell.
Now, would that have to be something that needs to be disclosed? Not having the website, not being in compliance with that stuff, it materially affects the unit and the value of the unit. I mean, think about how far you could take that.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why I think all the realtors need a checklist. Your duty is to inform, correct? My duty is to inform. So there's been a lot of CAM oversight too. Now, the managers can also be held liable if they're not turning over their books and records. They can be immediately terminated. There's also, they've put a lot
I could just see everybody now, just like,
but you see where this
has
going.
been going on. Yes,
it's that we're trying to come in and fix a problem,
right?
And I think ultimately what you're going to see happen over the course of the next 3 years is that these property values for the condo are going to rise once they are all fully restored. Trying to ensure that they are all financially sound, right? Now they're going to look great, have great pocketbooks. Wouldn't it be a great investment? And maybe now is the time to buy it cheap if you know everything's on the up and up, because that's an investment that's truly.
And that's where I was going with it.
But are there going to be that you have to tell me?
Yeah.
You guys know the market, so. I assume so. I still think if you want to live on the beach here, it's more affordable than in South Florida. I think more people want to live in this kind of area versus South Florida. But is that great for us locally? Wouldn't you rather? So you're getting the right clientele that help increase your bottom line. Also, look at taxes. So think about the taxes that can be generated from a condo. Multiple units, if they're all high end, isn't their taxes going to be there? You've got lots of money coming in from taxes. Doesn't that improve the city?
Yeah, so ultimately, it's a good thing.
It could still be a great investment. You just need to dot your I's, cross your T's, and understand what you're buying. The problem truly is people not understanding what they're buying, especially from. And then, oh, well, that's not going on in Pennsylvania, so that can't happen here. And yes, it can happen here.
Right. Yep. Sitting down and talking to people, communicating. It's a rare thing today.
It's a rare thing, and not doing everything so
And,
quick.
I mean, I don't want to throw AI. AI can be your friend, but at the same time, I've heard people say, oh, just AI that for the contract or whatever. And I'm like, no. That's not the answer. I mean, you have to know as a real estate agent what you're doing. You can't AI everything. And as a consumer,
well, they do it wrong. That's the
prompt
thing.
Engineering, I mean, you have to know to ask to get the right answer.
And even, for example, I put my presentation, because it was very long, into AI today to say, hey, how can you just turn this into talking points? She was wrong. So I called all AI she.
You call her she. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to come up with a name for my.
It's
going to be something.
But she was wrong, and I had to remind her that you're wrong. It kept saying that not House Bill 913 required this 25 or more for the website. Incorrect. That actually was implemented a year ago. Just it. So certain things like that are very important, especially from a legal perspective.
Devil in the details.
Devil's in the details, and AI is not great about that. And don't you want a detailed contract?
Yes.
Don't you want detailed analysis? So yes, AI is fantastic to make things quicker, but it's not always. be double checking that.
Mine's going to be an Australian guy.
Yeah.
I just need to figure out the name. That's all. Am I missing anything?
Let's see. Expert. Does anybody get to ask questions? Do we see?
Not in this environment. However, if you have a question, you can just comment below, depending on how you're listening to this, because we have audio, we have YouTube, and our other sites. So, but on YouTube, if you want to put in a question, please do, and we'll monitor it and get back to you.
And we can do a part 3. We can.
This goes,
Yeah, we can deep dive into specific areas.
Yeah. So if you want to hear something specifically or a specific topic on this broad topic, because we could go on forever, right? This is a big deal.
So really for realtors, what it means, as you keep asking, it far more visibility into condo financials, structural health of the condo before you write a contract. Because now you can get it on the websites and you can get the information before you even write a contract. Also, for owners, it means higher costs, but safer financial stability for the communities. And for the entire industry, it means Florida is now setting the national standard for condo safety and transparency. That's what everyone needs to understand. Florida is cutting edge when it comes to this law.
Best place to buy a condo.
Yeah.
Safest place to buy a condo.
People look for, now if you have somebody moving here from, let's say, Oregon or some of the states that don't love regulation, they don't want government and agencies sort of sniffing around what you do. Maybe a condo in Florida is not a wise product. No, you are buying a highly regulated product. There's all kinds of rules.
And I think even better, because coming from the real estate side of it, and having dealt with associations and not being able to get information, not being able to talk to anybody, not getting return phone calls for weeks and weeks and weeks, and deals falling apart because nobody will answer the phone. All going to be good. At the end of the day, it's all a good thing.
So just know, Cam, there's a whole statute on that, and they also can't ignore you. They can be reported. They can lose their license. They're a fiduciary, and they also have a duty to provide.
So maybe that's the next part 3 is environment.
Yeah, because yes, and I would love to.
Yeah,
and in fact, that's what I'm working on to present with DBPR all over the state of Florida. Is I think people don't understand that statute that much and what rights are and responsibilities are, and typically. Talk to the manager more than you're talking to any board member.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Board members are insulated.
Yeah.
You're even on a topic we were just talking about. Everything's going through the management company. We don't even know if the board has any idea.
You're absolutely right, unless we have to track them down for a signature, which I've done.
Which now
you're knocking on doors.
Now, also, there's a requirement starting October 1st where we get board information. They have to submit that with DBPR information about the condominium, and that goes into effect October 1st, 2025. So now you're going to have a lot of information about the board that is updated, because they have a requirement to update it every 30 after 30 days after any change, which is different than the information you get from the Department of State as far as the corporation.
Right.
So you will know who the board members are. Now, I will say it's not compulsory that they provide their email. It still may be difficult to get to them, but you'll at least know who's on the board.
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. I am so appreciative of your time.
Of course.
I know you're busy. And I know you're working on something. That was ironic that we came in today and we're like, oh,
yes.
Wait a minute.
We're working on something together.
We're working on something together. So, your time. I look forward to part 3. I think we need to go
love
there.
doing
so,
this.
yeah. Thanks again for coming in, Erum.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Daytona Beach Real Estate Insider. We hope you found today's episode helpful. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an update. And don't forget to follow us on social media, news, and tips. Until next time, happy house hunting.